current events, injustice, police brutality, systematic racism, politics. What say ye? Enough said.
Cars in flames. Oh my.
When I put on makeup, I sweat a lot.
Wow. It's hot. That's why I have my fan on. Even though my AC is on, I have my fan on so my Beyonce hair can blow in the wind. But I don't know how much longer that's going to last.
I'm burning up, but I'll pretend I'm in Jamaica, girl. So I'm all right.
All right.
Anyway, welcome back to Enough Said with your hosts, Gemmo, CARO Light, and Cherry Poet. Today we're going to be talking about immigration, Floyd.
Well, in this session, we're only going to talk about immigration.
All right. So okay. So Gemmo, what say you?
I say that I would like to talk first about the DACA. Everybody knows what DACA is?
Yes.
For Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. And what that is kids who came into the country before 2010 and before their 16th birthday, who entered the country and went to high school here, can get a temporary protection or status in the United States called DACA. What that allows them to do is to get a work permit and also to get a social security and a driver's license so they can work, and they cannot be put in deportation proceedings unless they commit a crime.
Okay, so you're referring to kids who come in illegally?
Kids who come in illegally, yes. They can come to the border, they can have overstayed their visa, but they had no other way of legalizing themselves in this country. Well, the Supreme Court just came down with a ruling. Ooh, I'm drinking too. I saw you, CARO Light. This is my wonderful ginger ale today. What are you drinking?
Lemonade.
Cherry?
Orange juice and water.
Oh, so we're non-alcoholic today.
Hold on, water.
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Vodka water.
Oh, wow. Oh, one of those heavy water. Okay.
All right.
Going back to DACA, the Supreme Court, as you know, in the Obama administration, they allowed DACA, people to get DACA and to get these deferred action for childhood arrival. They're also called dreamers. So they allow the dreamers to get legal status temporarily in the United States. At first, they could travel outside the United States with permission. Now they have restricted that, but that's a different issue. Well, the Trump administration have been trying to get rid of DACA since they came in. You know, the Trump administration trying to get rid of all of Obama's policy. I don't know what that's about. That's for another time. We should discuss politics at a later date. However, the Supreme Court, packed by this Trump administration, remember, he appointed so many people, conservative, ruled to uphold DACA. They say you cannot, he wanted to get rid of it. They say you cannot get rid of it. The people who are in it will stay. The only difference is no new people can come in, which is unfortunate. What say ye, Carol, about that?
I'm just curious. When it's referring to, when you say DACA refers to children who come in undocumented, so they can go to school and so forth. What about the parents? Does DACA cover the parents or what?
No, because they wanted DAPA. Obama was pushing for DAPA, which is deferred action for parental arrival, and they knocked it down. The Congress, the Senate, the very conservatives wouldn't hear of it. So the children are legalized, but their parents are not.
But what happens to who takes care of the children?
Well, all these people are here. This is the mistake. They're already here. They're already been taken care of by somebody, probably their illegal parents or illegal uncle or aunt or cousins, or friends. I don't know. You know, based on my experiences, you know, guys, I have experience in this area. Their parents, one parent is usually here. That's why they're here. They come to join a parent who came before them or came with them. But in some cases, it might just be a friend or a relative. So that was a major win in the Supreme Court and a major knock for the Trump administration. What's that, CARO Light?
This one, I have to kind of take a breath with, because it still doesn't seem complete. If the kids are getting a stay, then in my opinion, you should give their parents a stay as well. Because why would you just give the kids a stay? They can go to school, they can get a social, and then the parents are just still in
Can be
limbo.
deported at any time.
They can be deported.
It doesn't go as far.
Oh no, the win is great. The win is great depending on how you look at it. Depending on how you look at it, it might be a great win, but then you wonder, is this enough? Is this a complete action to really, is it a holistic action for the immigrants that are already here? That we need to,
And the other thing you have to wonder, if it only applies to immigrants that are already here, then chances are those kids from the time Obama was in for the 8 years, those kids are probably about to graduate now. You know what I mean? What happens to the newborns that are in the stomach right now, or that's, you know, 2-3 years old right now, like what happens to them?
Or the ones who came in after 2010, they're left in limbo. You know what's funny? A vast majority of the DACA students that they were are now doctors and lawyers, and well, mostly doctors in the medical professions and other professional areas. Of course, you have people who are doing other jobs as well. So it's unfortunate that they may have a younger brother and sister who didn't attain the age or came in after they did. It's unfortunate for the parents who are in limbo and have to live in this country with the threat of deportation hanging over their heads, while most DACA students are doing so well in the United States. Guys,
so what about what if the students have become successful, the older ones have become successful? Can they now, since they're already in the US and do have that temporary passport, visa, whatever it is, can they then apply for full citizenship because they've succeeded in America, because they're now professional?
No.
And if so, can they file for their younger sibling?
Can I answer that? I read that the DACA Act is a little different from what they had. The Democrats had proposed something called the DREAM Act. Within the DREAM Act, you could file for your permanent residence, and you could file also to become a citizen after you've got your residency. Under the DACA Act, it doesn't allow them to file for even permanent residency. So it's just like it's a 2-year, it gives them 2 years of being free from basically being deported.
You can renew it. You can renew it, which is good. But that's exactly right. It's nothing. They can't travel. They don't have a permanent green card. They can't file for their parents. They can just stay and work, and unless they don't commit a crime, they will not be placed in removal or deportation proceedings. And that's what DACA is about. It's not enough, but it's better to have that little bit than to have it completely taken away. And I
Correct.
Yeah, I applaud the Supreme Court for that ruling. But the other thing I wanted to talk and get you guys' idea about immigrants is, and feel free, you know, Cherry, your breasts is so lovely looking that all the guys
well, one of us, at least one of us, have to draw the males in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly,
you know, women
right.
are we're already gonna have 100,000 women, you know, following us.
Right, right. Don't get it twisted. The breast can draw the women in too. But anyway.
in that case.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's talk about.
All right. All right.
Yes, we have, as you guys know, hundreds of people at the border. Hundreds from primarily from Central America, but believe it or not, there are other people mixed in. And these people used to be able to be what we call vetted to see, because they're fleeing from something from their country. Now, let's face it, nobody gets up and walk miles upon miles and catch a bus and risk being raped and drowned when you cross a river unless you're leaving for some reason. Now, the reason could be poverty, and a lot of cases it is, but then there are others who are fleeing persecution, gang rape, gang violence, and a lot of political violence in their country. So traditionally, we would vet them and give them what we call asylum and let them into the country. And once you let them in, they have to go to court and prove their asylum case to a judge. This court case sometimes takes 2, 3, 4 years before they even get to the final results. And the judge would determine whether the case was credible or not. So when you vet them, you just do a preliminary questionnaire about what they're running from. And I would, and then you let them in. Now, under this administration, they don't want to let any of them in. They have them detained, just sitting there. They're sent back a lot so far. I know one personal girl, the child is sent back and he's beaten every day by his father. So I don't know what's going to happen to that child, because her father always tried to find him. She escaped with one of the child and 2 left back there. One tried to come in, the one he treats the worst, and they sent him back. So what do you say? Do you think this is a fair policy?
2 things I have to say. My thinking is kind of, I've never been a president, of any country, but, my thinking is sort of, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question, but
feel free to disagree with me. Feel free.
No, what I mean is, I don't know if what I'm going to say is answering your question. Okay. What I'm going to say, these are thoughts that I've had. For example, you have illegal immigrants that may be working under a fake name, or they may be working under the table, or, at some company who gives them fake social security cards. Now, when immigration goes in and swoops them up and take them away, my thinking is, if the person is working a regular job, if I'm president, instead of swooping them up and throwing them away, what I would do is say, you have to start paying taxes. We will give you some papers, since we see that you're working, you're not selling drugs, you're not out there shooting people, you're working for a living, you're probably supporting your family with it, which 9 times out of 10 is what they're doing, So once you see that they're a working individual, why not just give them a proper social security number, card, allow them to go ahead and work and collect that tax money? It's like, from the person is working, that's tax money for you, so collect it instead of running them out of the country. That's my thing.
I agree. But what do you think about the ones that are at the border?
There are 2 sides to this.
Okay.
2 sides to it. One, you have to see that the way the immigration system is set up is that you go through what they call a legal process, and then you get to America and you get the opportunity to get your work permit. So there are persons out there going through the legal process. So a person who is going through the legal process and they haven't gotten their documents in order to work, what it does is it appears as if we are going to favor. And I think this is what I've heard the president himself said once, like, it comes across that we are favoring the ones who came in illegally over the ones who are going through the legal process.
That's not true.
Having said that, though, we have to remember that a lot of times they're no longer looking at humanity. Most of the time, remember, there was a time when America only took the creme de la creme of other countries. They were not really taking in legally the people who are really struggling, the people who are really in hardship, the people who really need to escape a tough situation. Those were not the people they were giving visas to. They will give visas. They would give visas to the elites of the societies that are coming in. So the persons who go through so much to get to this country, through a different process, is obviously very desperate people, very desperate for them to do that. So I do agree that if they make it here, because a lot of them risk their lives to even make it to America, And if they're able to make it here, and if they're able to find some form of employment, yeah, why not just make it so that they can work legally and pay some taxes rather than,
Right.
going
Let me
out
Because
there.
I
say
mean,
this.
that's money. That's money. All of that is money. And even if they're coming from a humble background or a struggling background, the fact of the matter is most of them are going to come here and become very successful. You know what I mean? Because they're hungry. They're coming with that hunger, like how you say, a lot of people might say, how come, you've been in America for so long and you're not making it, and the person who just comes, succeeds. It's because the drive is different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're looking at America as this great opportunity, whereas the people that are already here are already here. It doesn't seem like much.
They take it for granted.
Right. So somebody that's coming in, who's coming with that hunger, is gonna succeed and do positive things. So my thinking is, allow them to come in under certain guidelines. You don't come here and commit crimes. You don't within, I don't know, 3 months you need to have a job. If the person is old enough to work, or you need to be in school, or you need to be doing something that's positive, for the society.
You have to remember two things. Most immigrants pay taxes. They pay under a tax ID number. Now, there's some who don't because they haven't given them the social security number or a driver's license, which in my opinion, if you want to track these people, give them a driver's license. It's the best way to track them.
Give them the social security number so that they can properly get a job and so that they can pay you the taxes. I mean, don't you want the money,
Sure. And let me say this. America has enough space for all those people, believe it or not. No, they don't have to take them all in. Like I said, you vet them, you see who is really serious and running away from issues. You don't take the ones who probably have a criminal past or are gang leaders themselves. There's ways to check these things out. America knows how. So therefore, all of a sudden, when the Europeans were coming in, there was no quotas, no numbers, no nothing. All of a sudden, now that it's mostly minorities, mostly Hispanics, but there's a mixture of other people that's in there, then all of a sudden we don't have enough space. We don't want them. We don't want to have them here. And remember one thing, Cherry, most of the Hispanics don't speak English. They're learning this language for the first time. So to give someone 3 months to get a job might be a little difficult for them.
Not necessarily, because you got to remember they already have people here who probably already run businesses and things.
Some do.
Have connections. They could always get a job.
Not the majority.
I have a question.
Sure.
Now, if for the ones who are going through the process, which for some people it can take 10 years, 15 years, and they're going through the process in a legal fashion. Do you think it is fair to them that the ones who cut corners, per se, to make it in should be able to get those benefits before the ones who are going through the process in the legal way?
The ones who are going through the process in the legal way that's taken all those years, mostly are people outside the United States or our brothers and sisters or some adult children of US citizens. And they need to fix that. That's a broken, there's no reason it has to take 10, 15, 20 years. That's what's broken about the system. So we have to fix that. But if somebody's here at the border in your face, it's almost like you have an office and somebody is sitting in your office. Are you going to take the phone calls of the ones that are just calling all the time and leave the ones sitting in front of you? You better find a way to mix it up. So first of all, you're right. They should fix the broken immigration system, but one has nothing to do with the other. They're not intertwined.
But here's what I'm saying too, to respond to Carol, is if the ones at the border are given a social security number so that they can work, which is, not a full social, but a basic social that can say you can work in the United States. That's not giving them a visa. That's not giving them a passport. It's not giving them citizenship. So the ones who legally go through the process, they're going through the process because they want legal citizenship.
They're gonna get green cards.
They want that passport. They want that visa. You understand what I'm saying? They want The ones coming in, you're just giving them the opportunity to work and you watch them. Are these people gonna come here and become criminals, or are they gonna come here and become a great addition to society? In between time, we could be collecting taxes from them because money is what it's all about.
I agree with that, 100%.
With that said, thank you so much for tuning in to Enough Said.
Enough said.
And hey, cheers to another great episode. We'll see you guys next time.
Current events, injustice, police brutality, systematic racism, politics. What say ye? Enough said.